and we will get the show on the road here. So again, my name is Jim Johnson. I am with the Small Business Development Center located at South Carolina State University. I'm the region director at that location. And SBDCs, if you're not familiar with them, it's an SBA program, which is a partnership between federal and state governments and universities to outreach to small business. The mission of the SBDC is just to help South Carolina small businesses be more successful. And we do that through no fee, confidential, one-on-one consulting, workshops and webinars, which is what we're doing today, and just connecting folks to great resources that they could use to help advance their businesses, like some of the people that will be on this call today. So we have some wonderful resources available here in South Carolina in regards to energy concerns, as well as other topics. So I'm excited to be able to present this webinar again. We've done this several times in the past. I think it's a good value to the South Carolina businesses to get this information in front of them. And we will have some good speakers here. So let's go ahead and move along. As you can see, a few housekeeping things. Type any questions you have in the chat or just save them to the end. We have some Q&A. Mute your microphone. This is a meeting and not a webinar. We want to try to keep it as quiet as possible for the presenters. And of course, you'll receive a post after this with all this information so that you can reach back out to folks that you might need to speak with. And again, my information is down there at the bottom. So who do we have on the agenda today? We have some great speakers, and we will have Deke Wiggins speak about EnergyWise, which is a program that works with Dominion Energy with their incentives. Rick Campana with the South Carolina Energy Office and Office of Regulatory Staff to talk a little bit about their resources and how they can help small business on energy concerns. I will speak to the Rural Energy for America grant, and we have on hand as well Denise Kemp and Tim Ellis with USDA Rural Development to answer any questions. It'll be mostly a broad overview of the REAP grant. We won't try to get bogged down into too many details because those are best left for maybe one-on-one conversations because there can be a lot of questions. So we'll get you an overview. We'll get you some specific good little tips, and then, you can contact folks that you need to contact after the webinar. So with that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Deke. Deke, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you and see you. You have something to share? You want me to let you share?
Yes. I just clicked the share screen. We use more Teams, but I think if I just click this green button.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So you guys can see the presentation?
Nope, it's not up yet. There you
go. Okay, so you see the first slide, Dominion EnergyWise for your business and small business energy.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks so much for having us. My name's Deke Wiggins. Yeah, it's great to be on here, and we're going to share some information about our energy efficiency programs that Dominion Energy offers. And I know a few of you. I know Rick actually used to work with in our program, and he was very helpful for us, and now he's moved on. But I'm going to talk about the EnergyWise for your business program, which is available to all customers, and as well as the Small Business Energy Solutions program, which is available to smaller customers. There are two different programs that ICF implements, and then we've also added some agricultural incentives to EnergyWise, which I'll touch on that also. So just a little bit about ICF. So ICF is a global consulting and technology company. We implement energy efficiency programs with utilities throughout the country, all the way out west, up north. Midwest. We have implemented the Dominion EnergyWise program since it started in 2010 when, Dominion was, the utility was SCE&G. So they must like the job we're doing. We're in year 2 of a 3-year cycle. So we'll be, the program will be around for at least 2 more years and probably a lot longer than that. The Public Service Commission of South Carolina drives these programs, and they want to keep these things going. This is just a little graph that shows how much electric consumption is in the industrial and commercial segment, in the U.S. So, the majority of consumption is industrial and commercial, and those are the customers that can participate. Some of the types, basically across the board, from grocery stores, healthcare facilities, hotel, office buildings, university, school, restaurants, warehouses, all have participated a good bit and all are eligible in the EnergyWise program. And when I get to the small business, we'll talk about the requirements to participate in that. We're here to help. Energy efficiency, it lowers harmful pollution, it creates jobs, it reduces energy burdens, strengthens community resiliency, and improves the bottom line for businesses. So, most utilities have these programs, and we're fortunate in South Carolina that Dominion does also. Some of the numbers, some of the energy that the reduction in energy that our projects have seen. And then the bottom right is what I would really like to point out. And this is just through 2010. So this hasn't been updated to also contain last year's, but between 2010 and 2020, over $35 million in incentive have been distributed by Dominion. So we'll touch on the EnergyWise program. This is again, it's a program that's available to any non-residential customer in Dominion's territory. Whether you're a mom and pop or the University of South Carolina, anybody can participate. Yes, the reasons why, here's kind of the overview. We offer incentives to reduce the upfront cost of improvements. We offer technical assistance. The program's flexible. The customers can engage their own contractors, or do it in-house, and they can have the incentive paid directly to the customers, or they can actually have the incentive go to a contractor or third party. Some of the requirements, I mentioned it's available to all non-residential customers. Some industrial and large customers have opted out, meaning there's a credit on their bill, but they can always opt back in and participate. If they opt in, they have to stay in the program for 3 years from when they receive a check. And this bold sentence in blue is what I really want to emphasize is most of the program requires pre-approval. So if you've got a project, you need to get in touch with us quick. As soon as you know about it, get an application submitted. We'll pre-approve it. Once it's pre-approved, the customer is able to purchase the equipment, install the equipment. And then once it's pre-approved, the commitment is valid for 180 days for retrofit applications and 1 year for new constructions. There are a couple exceptions to the pre-approval, and it's for emergency equipments and HVAC or kitchen equipment. If you have a unit that dies and you need to order something right away, there is a waiver if you can submit the application after the purchase. It's just got to be submitted within 60 days. Some of the categories that we offer incentives in, lighting there's still a lot of opportunity for lighting upgrades in the South and South Carolina. So retrofit lighting is a big part of our program. It's probably 70 to 80%, although we are growing in other areas. We do offer incentives in new construction and major renovation. Lighting, if you're putting an LED in a new building, there's a good chance you can get some incentives. In the HVAC category, we've got unitary HVAC, like rooftop units, chillers, VFDs. We just added cool roofs, reflective roofing as long as it's Energy Star, you can get incentives on that. That was added late last year. Food service and high efficiency equipment. Basically, if the equipment's Energy Star listed, then it's, it would be eligible. And then we have a custom program, which would be for improvements made or equipment that's installed that does not fit into one of our prescriptive units, which would be the 3 on the left. Then we have the ability to put it into a custom application, and we have a custom engineer that can assist with that. And then what we just added late last year, which we're really excited about, and they've asked me to kind of lead the charge, is the agricultural incentives. And I'll touch on that. This might be a little hard to read, but I wanted to add this, and I just copy and pasted this image from the website. But we have a promotion right now that started at the beginning of the year, and it runs through the end of March, called the Early Bird Promotion. For any applications submitted by March 31st, the customer can get an additional 20% incentive added to what the incentive would be based on the savings. The project does need to be completed by October 31st of this year. And we've seen a big increase in applications come in, and we're super happy to offer this to our customers. So it's a great time right now to participate. A little bit about the application process. I'm not going to bore you because I know we don't have a lot of time, but the main thing is just get us involved early so we can help you with the application, get it submitted, get pre-approved. Are there any changes to your project, just let us know. We can make those changes prior to the installation. If there's changes afterwards, as long as the equipment is eligible. Like, for example, if you've got a lighting project and you switch the fixtures to a different fixture, as long as it's DLC certified or Energy Star certified, then we can allow it. Then once you complete your project, you submit the final invoices for the equipment and sign the customer signs the pre-approval letter acknowledging the completion, and then you receive a check from Dominion in 4 to 6 weeks. So pretty easy process, but the one thing I want to emphasize is just contact us early so we can help you get everything submitted and make sure everything is done correctly. The agricultural incentives, we're super excited about this. We just launched this in the fall. ICF implements energy efficiency programs with utilities in Arkansas and Mississippi, and I think there's one in Oregon where we already have ag incentives. So we're just kind of, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just implementing what's already been successful. So we're already getting some traction here. And the ag community has been good about getting the word out. So, if farmers or you farm yourself, and there's an opportunity to reduce energy by installing some equipment, there's a good chance you can get an incentive from Dominion. We've identified some measures for ag, heating pads for swine, milk pre-cooler, the LED replacement for animal ag. And one thing we've done a lot of in Arkansas, we're already seeing a lot of traction in South Carolina, is chicken houses, the LED installation, replacing older inefficient lamps. You can get some really good incentives. You can get incentives for horticulture lighting, VFDs and grain bins, well pump VFDs and a well pump tune-up. And one thing that I want to emphasize at the top is that the programs, it pays out really well. It's very simple how we calculate the incentives. It's just based on the kilowatt hour reduction annually, 17 cents per kilowatt hour, up to 75% of the incremental cost. So potentially you could have 75% of the project paid for. This is some resources. You'll have, you can go to the website. We'll send out this presentation, but there's an ag page, and so there's some the brochure and the application. Some more collateral. This is again on the website. This is the EnergyWise overview, the list of incentives frequently asked questions. And here's some like tip sheets. And then small business. Yeah, I'm going pretty quick, but I know we got a packed agenda. Small Business Energy Solutions Program has been around 5 or 6 years. It's a very popular program. It's available to non-residential customers with 5 or fewer accounts and an annual energy use of 350,000 kilowatt hours or less, which is, that's relatively a good bit of usage. So a lot of small businesses qualify. It's a turnkey program. So we provide a contractor that comes and does an audit and then does the installation. And then once the project is complete, Dominion covers 90% of the project, up to $6,000 per year. So the customer is only needs to pay for 10% of the project. So it's an extremely successful program, very popular. A lot of lighting. I mean, probably the majority is lighting. So if you've got old lighting and you want to upgrade it and get Dominion to pay for 90%. Obviously all kind of LED lightings, tubes, screw-ins, panels, high bay fixtures, exterior fixtures. We also have some measures such as walk-in cool motor replacements, LED replacements on cooler doors, and some other controls. And we just added some measures to the small business program this year. We've added some HVAC, some tune-up, smart Wi-Fi thermostats, duct sealing, and HVAC controls. So these are all new that have not been in the program until just the last 5 or 6 months. How does it work? The project costs whatever it is. Dominion will pay 90% of that, up to $6,000 per year. So the customer's out-of-pocket cost, it's just 10%. Really good program to participate in. This is our team. Jesse Erbil is our program manager. We've got Melena and Kate, our project coordinators. Kelly, who's on this call, she's our energy ambassador. She's in Columbia. Mike Trophy is now the small business program manager for that Small Business Energy Solutions. I'm cover Aiken and Columbia. I'm actually based out of Augusta. Mary Frybert is an account manager in the Low Country. So is Christy Ryan. Devin is our technical specialist, and Joanna and Mary help out with national accounts. And I think that's about 15 minutes. So we have gotten to the end and just wanted to open it up for any questions. If you have questions at the end, I'll stick around too. So either is fine with me.
All right. Well, thanks, Deke. So yeah, if you can stop sharing, you have to stop sharing your screen so we can move to the next. But but you can put your questions in the chat or just hold those questions to the end. And you might think of something as we go through this, through these different resources that comes to you. So thank you. We appreciate the information on Dominion. And like was mentioned in the chat, other energy providers may have incentives similar to Dominion. You just have to check with those providers. And I will now hand it over to Mr. Rick Campana with the Office of Energy in South Carolina. So Rick, take it away.
Sure, 1 second here. All right, is that showing appropriately?
Yes.
All right, cool. So as Jim said, my name is Rick Campana. I'm an energy specialist with the South Carolina Energy Office. If you're not familiar with us, we are a public state entity. We're housed within a larger state agency, the Office of Regulatory Staff. However, the Energy Office's funding is primarily federal from the U.S. Department of Energy. So they have what's called the State Energy Program, SEP, and they provide money to energy offices in all 50 states, as well as the territories of the U.S. And so essentially our mission is to promote energy efficiency, renewable energy, and clean transportation in South Carolina. And we do that through a variety of different programs. We have some funding programs. We coordinate trainings. We provide technical assistance. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on a few different things that hopefully this audience will find helpful. So the first thing I want to talk about is our Energy Saver tool. You can find this at energysaver.sc.gov. And my presentation is pretty short, so I think we can actually do a demo of this in a moment. But so this is a tool that we launched in August of 2020. And essentially it is a lookup tool for both commercial and residential energy saving programs. And that basically is a wide umbrella of all the different types of programs you can think of, regardless of it's a grant or loan, a rebate, a tax incentive, or if it's for residential low income. And those come from different sources. So it includes the energy office's programs. It includes all the programs from all the utilities in South Carolina, including the Dominion programs that Deke just went over. So it basically is all encompassing. It also allows you to print and export the results. And we also have some tips on there on how to save energy. And so before I go into an actual demo, this is just kind of an overview of how it works. When you go in there, it's first going to ask you to select for your home or for your business, whether you want residential or commercial, respectively. It'll then ask for your electric utility, and it has a search feature. So you start typing it in and they'll pop up. You'll then select your utility. And if you don't know your utility, it links there to a map so you can actually kind of identify who your utility provider may be. Once you selected your utility, it prompts you to select whether, if you had selected business, you'll select whether you're commercial or industrial, a public entity, or a nonprofit. Similarly, if you select residential, there are some questions pertaining to whether you may be eligible for low income programs. And then it'll spit out these results, as I mentioned, which can be printed or exported. So I'm going to do a quick demo here. So this is the main website. As I said, it's energysaver.sc.gov. And when you navigate around here, as I mentioned, we have some energy saving tips, both residential and commercial. But for the Energy Saver tool, you'll click this Energy Saver tool link and then use the Energy Saver tool. Then you'll click this button here. For this example, we'll say for your business. As I said, you can search the utility company. Now, one warning is that this search can be a little slow, just in the nature of how the system works. So you'll kind of want to give it a moment. But here I've just started typing in Dominion, and give this one moment. There it is. And then it's going to ask me for which type of business. So we'll say commercial. And then it's going to spit out all these programs. So you'll see now, some of these may not be, you may not be specifically eligible for, because this is kind of a catch-all, but you'll see we've got the Dominion's Energy Wise for Your Business program that Deke just talked about, as well as their multifamily program. We have other programs that are the federal tax credits. We have state tax credits. So basically, like I said, it's all encompassing. Any incentives that may be available based on the selections you made will show up here. We also have contact information for some of these programs. And then, as I said, you can export this or print it. So say you wanted to export it to a PDF. And there you go. And so then you've got a more printer-friendly version that you can use. You can also export to Excel if you want to, sort it and things like that. So it's a really useful tool for finding any programs that may be available to you. And back to my presentation here. So getting into some of the Energy Office's programs. So most of our programs are kind of geared more towards nonprofit and public entities. So I don't know to what extent this audience may be eligible for these, but I want to kind of briefly cover them just in case they are applicable. So we have a loan program, which is called Concert Fund. It's 4 projects in the areas of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and clean transportation. And we offer loans from $25,000 up to $500,000. And as long as funding is available, we've gone beyond $500,000. We've done upwards of close to $1 million on some projects. And it is a low 1.5% interest rate. We have to review that interest rate annually, but we've kept it at that rate for at least several years now. And the loan terms are up to 10 years. They're also capped at 1.5 times the payback period on the project. So say, for example, if you have a really good project and it pays back in 4 years, well, then we can't offer that 10 years on that. We can only offer 6 years because it's going to be 1.5 times that 4-year payback. As I mentioned, it's open to nonprofits and government entities. And the repayments on the loan begin after the project is completed, and they're due quarterly for nonprofits and annually for government entities. Obviously, there's a lot more to this program. There's anytime you're getting federal money, there are a lot of different things that you have to abide by. So I can't cover all those in a brief presentation, but the information is available via that link. Now, if you're not a nonprofit or state entity, there is also the Energy Efficiency Revolving Loan, or EARL. This is essentially the private sector sister program to Concert Fund. Now, this is administered by a group called the South Carolina Business Development Corporation. However, this funding comes from the Energy Office, and we do the technical analysis for the projects that they receive. So it's very similar to Concert Fund. The loans range from $50,000 up to $1 million. The interest rate can be variable, but they do try and keep it low, similar to the 1.5% you saw with Concert Fund. And the terms, again, are up to 10 years. And as I mentioned, it's open to all commercial entities. And you'll see the link there. Again, there's hoops you're going to have to jump through with receiving federal money, but it is a solid program. And then as far as grants from the Energy Office, we also have what we call our mini grant program. Now, this has the same eligibility as Concert Fund, so it's open to nonprofits and government entities. Now, unlike Concert Fund, which is available year-round and you can apply at any time, this mini grant program is a competitive program with limited funding, and it opens at the start of each fiscal year, which is July. So in July, we open the application. It's only open for about a month. And then we take about a month or two to review the applications, identify the top applications, and proceed with awards. And then those projects have to be completed within that fiscal year. So it's a very compressed time window. It's geared more towards smaller projects. As noted there, the grants only go up to $10,000. So it is a mini grant. And, given that it's competitive, there are certain criteria which are laid out in the solicitation. That's how we review and grade the applications. And so, we're looking for certain things in these projects. Unlike Concert Fund, where you just have to pass this technical and financial review, this is a competitive program. And again, you can see there the link if you'd like more information on the details of this program. Moving beyond financing, so Energy Office energy assessments. So we have what we call our Energy Technical Assistance Program, or ETAP. Again, this is geared towards state entities and nonprofits. But through this program, we provide free energy audits. And these typically will include a utility bill analysis, walk through energy assessment of your facility, and also advisement on any funding that you could pursue. And we summarize all of these findings that we find in the assessment in an energy assessment report. Now, these services are subject to availability due to time constraints and approvals. We have a small team that does these assessments, and in fact, right now we have a little bit of a queue. So if this is something you're eligible for and you're interested in, I would recommend looking into the application sooner rather than later, so you can get in the queue and we can get to your assessment sooner. Moving beyond some of the energy office's offerings, the first I want to mention is UNC Charlotte's Industrial Assessment Center. So if you've seen me present on these webinars before, you may have seen me talk about the Clemson Industrial Assessment Center. Well, that Clemson, unfortunately, they no longer have funding for their IAC. This is a program that is through the US Department of Energy, and it runs, I believe, in 3-year cycles. And so as of the end of 2021, Clemson no longer has their IAC. The closest now is going to be UNC Charlotte. And so through this program, though, they provide free energy audits for small and medium-sized industrial facilities. And they also provide end user training for energy systems. The only requirements are that you have to be a US-based manufacturer with yearly energy bills of 100,000 to 3.5 million. You also have to be located within 150 miles of the IAC. Now, because the closest one now is going to be UNC Charlotte, unfortunately, this isn't going to cover all of South Carolina. So your eligibility is going to also depend on your location in the state. Now, like I said, this UNC was just awarded this IAC beginning in 2022. So as far as I understand, they're still getting this started up. We haven't really connected with them yet. So I'm not entirely sure who's going to be running the program and if they've opened for applications yet. But I have some links there for more information. So again, if you're interested in this, I'd recommend contacting them directly. And then another option also out of North Carolina for energy assessments is the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center. And they provide customized technical assessments and energy audits. So these are much more customized to you. Now, it is not necessarily a free program, however. They are also the Southeast partner for the US DOE's Combined Heat and Power Technical Assistance. So if that's something you're interested in as a technology, they would definitely be a good resource for that. Again, I have the link there. And that's all the information I have for you today. If you have any questions, happy to take them now or throughout the presentation. I'll be sticking through to the end. Of course, if you think of something later, feel free to email me or call me as well.
Thank you, Rick. Great resource. And as everyone can see, all your incentives and grant programs and everything that you need, it's a one-stop. It's just all housed right there. And of course, they keep everything up to date. So you don't have to, figure out if this is old news or current. So yeah, I'd recommend going there first and then going from there when you have an energy project coming up. So thank you very much. And we will move along to the Rural Energy for America program. And this program, also known as REAP, is a product of the USDA Rural Development Office. And the reason that I'm giving this presentation is because through my job, I have served a very rural region. I work in the low country in the Midlands of South Carolina in all the rural counties. So I've gotten to know rural development very well in all their products. And, I think it's such great value and they have so many good products that are available to businesses. So I've been happy to be able to give this presentation and try to get the information out to folks who are interested in energy improvements or alternative energy. So this program is, we'll talk about eligibility, but it's based around grants, which everybody's interested in, right? I get that call at least once or twice a day, what grants are available to my business. This is one, that I keep in the back of my mind, but it's not for everybody. I usually say, it's for folks who kind of already have, this project in mind, like they're going to do the HVAC upgrade or they were interested in solar, so it's definitely not for everybody. It's a grant, and kind of the spiel I give people on grants is, grants take work. They're not free, by the way. You're going to have to put time and effort into applying for those grants. And of course, you can get assistance from many great resource providers, which will help you along the way. But it will definitely take administrative burdens on your part to get it together. So you're going to have to put your time and effort into it. And grants are not always guaranteed. They're competitive. There's only so much money to go around. So you could spend a lot of time applying for a grant and, not come out on the winning side, which I say to my clients, don't get your head down. Let's just, maybe it wasn't the right time or the right place for that. So, let's apply again next year. We already have the work done. Maybe you can do that. So anyway, so they have the grant and loan programs, and these are available for installing renewable energy systems and energy efficiency improvements. So that's kind of the core of this program, REAP. So you have to be eligible. You have to be eligible. And one of the eligibility requirements is that you're a rural business or agricultural producer. And so you wonder, well, am I rural? Maybe you're close to a urban area. Rural is defined as I guess an area under 50,000 in population, but still you might wonder, if you do, well, USDA created an eligibility map that you can go to here. This is just a quick link that I sent. You can Google USDA eligibility map. It'll take you to the site. And as you can see, there's different selections here. If you go into rural business, then you can come down here and say, hey, am I eligible in an eligible area for REAP? You see REAP there. And click here to go to the following programs and look at property eligibility. And they have a nifty map here. You can just kind of put in your address, and I'll just type 300 College Street, Orangeburg, SC. See if that comes up. Yeah. And guess what? It's located in an eligible area. This is it's in the city of Orangeburg. And so the city of Orangeburg is considered a rural area by the definition rules of the USDA. So neat little tool there that you can go to first, determine. No need to progress any further with the USDA rural development grant if you're not, in an eligible area. So this is kind of like one of the first steps. So the next thing is, are you an agricultural producer? If you are, then you've passed that hurdle, you're eligible. And of course, are you a rural small business? And I just mentioned one aspect of eligibility of being rural. The other aspect is, are you small? The rule of thumb definition by the SBA is companies under 500 employees. But, there's always exceptions to those rules. They are resources to go to find out if you're actually classified as small. Most businesses in South Carolina are small businesses, and you're very likely to be a small business. But anyway, there are different ways to check that as well. And if you wanted to progress with this and needed help with that, it's available. So what kinds of assistance are out there? Renewable energy systems and energy efficiency improvements, grants, and guaranteed loans. And this is basically a link to the fact sheets. There are fact sheets on the website, and we'll go into the website right at the end so that you can we'll browse around a little bit and see some of the applications and some of the other fact sheets that are basically telling you what I'm about to tell you. So we have there's a program and a grant for energy audits and renewable energy development assistance grants. They're called RETA. So if your project requires an audit, which can be pretty costly, you can actually get a grant for that. It's kind of a separate thing. You may do that in advance of maybe applying for a regular REAP grant. But that is there, and it's available, and there's a fact sheet on that. So you could go to the site and read about that. I will say in regards to audits and assessments, the USDA does require one of the two of these, depending on the level of the grant, how much the project costs. Generally speaking, grants under 80,000 or projects under 80,000 would only require an assessment, which is a kind of a lower level of a look at your energy consumption and usage, versus an audit, which is a deeper dive, much more detailed report, and much more costly than assessment. A lot of assessments you can get for free. There are resources to do free assessments. Audits are always going to cost you for sure. And sometimes assessments can cost you. It just depends on where you are. So how may the funds be used? Let's talk about that. And this is kind of similar to Dominion. You'll see some of the same type projects, right? And so lighting, very popular, kind of low-hanging fruit, something you can definitely get some savings off of. And I will say this project or this grant, it seeks to see energy savings, right? That you're going to create energy savings from these improvements. So you have to show a net energy savings. Lighting pretty much always does that. Some other things may not. So we just, I mean, if you're going into this project and you have a couple things you're trying to do, it's always good to, talk about the project and really see if it's going to save you in the long run, because you're going to have to prove that through documentation. So heating, cooling, your HVACs, ventilation, fans, automation's popular, insulation. I've worked with several clients, small businesses on these grants, and I've done just about every one of those. Some are interesting as to how you prove the savings, like insulation, compared to other ones. But it can be done for sure if you have a qualified individual helping you with the assessment. On the renewable energy product side, you have solar, wind, hydroelectric. Let's see, yeah, hydroelectric, the anaerobic digesters, biomass, geothermal, wave ocean power. I am familiar with a couple of these. Solar, I've worked with the solar project, and I'm working with the geothermal. But anyway, you can see that there are a lot of options for these renewable energy systems. So eligible technologies, energy efficiency, of course, retail, warehousing, and manufacturing, greenhouses, poultry farms. You can see energy efficiency can be applied to almost any business that's using energy. Some businesses consume more energy than others as a percent of their overall expenditures. For instance, poultry farms, probably one of their biggest expenses on the farm is energy. So they would definitely benefit from upgrading the energy efficiency and energy usage products. So a lot of farms actually, a lot of businesses, energy is one of the highest expenses on their P&L and profit and loss statements. So definitely something to look at, and if you can save some money there. Of course, renewable energy, you got solar. As we spoke about, you've got biomass, geothermal, wind power. And so let's look at some additional requirements. I'm going to go to the website. Here we go. So yeah, if you just go to Google and you Google REAP USDA, then you'll come to this site, and gives you a lot of good information here, right? There are actually 2 deadlines per year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And one is for, I guess, smaller grants only. The one in the fall is for grants under 80,000. The project is under 80,000. And then all grants can be accepted. The applications can be accepted in the spring deadline, which is March 31st here of 2022. If you come here, you can also see more information on, how to apply and some information on the loan guarantees and how funds may be used. So if you go down to apply, you can see that there's a lot of forms here. But I'm going to pull up this form, which is the projects of 80,000 and less, just to give you a look at it, right? So you're interested in a grant project. And well, that didn't really pull it up, did it? Okay, let's go back here. Let's see. Not sure why that's not pulling up. You have instructions. Let's see if it'll pull this one up. Nope. Okay. Okay, let's see. Well, I might not be able to show you the application. So let me go back to
Jimmy, it's
back
the
here.
browser.
Oh, is it the browser that's the issue?
Yes, Internet Explorer
Uh-huh.
works. Sometimes Chrome, it says on there, if you read down below, that you might have to download the form first. So you might want to try a different browser.
Let me try this browser real quick. This is the Apple browser. Let's see. Maybe I was using the Apple browser. No, I was using, it doesn't like either one of those browsers. So, but that's fine. I can just tell you a little bit about what's in the application. As far as, so the basics are this. So the program pays 25% of project costs. So if you have a project that is, $100,000, then the grant would be for $25,000. If you are applying for projects for under $80,000, then like I said, you would have to you could get a energy assessment. If it's above that, then you may move into the energy audit territory. The energy efficient, so there's kind of the two projects, or whether it's energy efficiency or if it's alternative energy, it's all in the same application. You're just filling out different aspects of those applications. So 25% of the project. So just remember that's kind of the key there. So what are some things you'd have to consider getting together to move forward with this application? The first thing is you're going to need a DUNS number and a SAM number. If you're not familiar with SAM, it's a system for award management. It's a government site. You put your information in there about your business, your account information. It's a channel for the federal government to pay you and to manage the awards. So you'd have to get SAM and you'd have to get DUNS number. And you really need to get those early on, because if you are trying to submit the grant application and you're getting close to the deadline, then you might have trouble because those numbers don't come overnight necessarily. It may take a couple days, may take longer. I've seen, some of those numbers take as long as a week, to get back. Most of the time, it's within a couple days. So another thing is, if you have a project, you need to, and you want to start your project, you just need to hold on and stand by until you get your application submitted, because you can't start your project until the application submitted, received, and you receive some type of notification that you can proceed with the project. Because they only pay, after, the application is in. So just remember that, and they won't necessarily pay for projects that are already started. Of course, there may be, exceptions to that. You would just have to talk to a USDA rep. They definitely wouldn't pay for the whole project if you've already started paying towards it. Some other things to consider, like I mentioned, eligibility requirements right up front. You want to make sure that you're eligible. But also, you're going to have tax return information available. Those tax returns, will help document the fact that you are a small business. And then, the big thing with this is a very technical grant. It's based around numbers and data, that come from your assessment and your proposed project. If your proposed project is saying that you're going to save energy based off of, a qualified individual's assessment, then, it could be an eligible project. So it's really important to run your project by folks and determine what that is going to be eligible, right? Because you don't want to get too far in and, not something that they don't pay for. So you also will need to be gathering all the documentation on this project, like all of your quotes, information on the materials that you're going to be using, and the installers and the vendors that you'll be using. All of those installers have to be qualified installers. You can't get your brother-in-law, to put the stuff in. Yeah, so they have to be qualified, and all the materials that you use have to be, available on the market, and materials that are warranted and quality materials. So it's a lot of things to think about there. It's basically, like I said, pretty technical, and I think that if it's straightforward, if you're with an energy efficiency upgrade project, if you have like a very old lights, or whatever the machinery is, and you're replacing it, you're probably going to save money. So it might be worth looking at. So that's the REAP program. I do have some other energy programs listed here. You'd really need to check with your cooperative utility. They may or may not have any incentives. To my knowledge, they are kind of sparse when it comes to incentives for the cooperatives, but you never know. Money becomes available from time to time for those. NRCS actually has a program through their EQIP. It's called the On Farm Energy Initiative. I will warn that working with NRCS is a process that could take upwards of a year to go through. But if you're already involved with NRCS, and you have an EQIP contract, and maybe something that you can include in there and work with them towards getting that. You just have to be patient, right? I can say working with rural development can be a faster process, but you still have to be patient even with rural development. Anytime you work with these grant programs, just go ahead and allocate a good amount of time for it. There are also tax credits, state and federal, available out there. And you can find those on the Office of Energy site, links to those tax credits. You need to look into those specific tax credits, because they kind of come and go as laws change, and they bring in new laws and policies about tax credits. And also, when it comes to tax credits, you want to talk to your accountant or your tax advisor, who can advise you on how that might affect what you're doing. But there's some pretty good federal and state incentives out there worth looking at. And then when you start looking at alternative energy projects, that's where the tax credits really come in and can be beneficial. And then you start, maybe looking at some of these other grants. Your payback period can come down dramatically on some of the projects, making it worthwhile to proceed with them. So with that, like to thank everybody for attending. If you have any questions, please ask them now. This is everybody's contact information. If you want to take a screenshot, I will actually send this presentation out to everybody with this video as well. And so you'll have access to it. And we'll be glad to answer any questions one-on-one anytime. Would be more than happy to talk with you and connect you with any of these folks to proceed with the project, or if you just want to run the project by us, that'd be great. So any questions? And Denise and Tim, did y'all have any additional comments in regards to the REAP program? I didn't really get into the loan product, but there is a loan guarantee for REAP on top of the grant as well, or in addition to the grant.
Well, you did a really good job. I apologize for the forms. I have trouble loading them as well. It depends on the browser. The EA Rita that you spoke of for the audits, those grants are made to colleges or electric co-ops or state or local governments. So you would go to them to see if they could do it for you for free. We wouldn't make small grants to small businesses for the audits, but otherwise you touched on a lot. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Thank
I
you.
have a quick question. This is Kelly Laird, and I'm the Energy Ambassador for the Dominion Incentive Programs. Have you all ever found a place where you cannot combine resources? To date, we have no restrictions for our incentives, but I was just wondering if you've seen that in your areas.
I'm not sure what you mean by combine.
Are you talking about stacking, like stacking the incentives?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I do know that you probably couldn't stack a federal grant or incentive with another federal grant. Like
Right.
if you applied for NRCS's energy program, you could not also apply for rural development because they're two federal, programs. But as far as coupling them with like Dominion incentives, I think that can be done, and with tax credits.
Yes, those both can be done, just not federal grants.
Oh, that's good to know.
Great. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I know that, I think I mentioned right at the get-go, when you get into asking specific questions about specific businesses, it's like almost a conversation that's best, left for one-on-one later, because you can really have to delve into the details of, the project, eligibility requirements of, the business and the project, and some other additional information that you would have to get together to do this. One other thing that I didn't mention, which just came to mind, is that you will have to show that you have the funds to pay for the project in advance. So you'll have to demonstrate that you have the funds or access to the funds that will cover the project. And this is something that trips, some small businesses up, that maybe they don't have a huge cash reserve or access, and they want a big project. So, it might be something that we have to work through to get them access, whether it's a line of credit or, some other, avenue to doing that. But that is one thing that I've seen in the past that may have caused some small businesses to at least, hold the program back until they could figure that little aspect of it out. So you definitely have to do it. If you have the money in your bank account, you can just show a bank statement. If you have a line of credit, or the banker will write you, a letter saying, hey, they can access these funds. It can be done in many different ways. You just have to prove that you have the capability of performing on the project.
I have one question.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Amelia. I'm with Amelia Farms. Like, we're a small nonprofit. When you tell me about the grants, am I competing against, competing with like Dominion Energy or Tri-County Electric or any of these other, or are they doing a collab? Like, I need to build a hoop house, and I truly want it to be energy efficient. So, tell me how I can maybe input something in to where I can get I'm not asking for thousands of dollars. I'm just needing some help. Tell me what I
Okay.
should do.
Well, you're not competing with the energy providers, first of all,
Right.
for sure. And your eligibility on this grant, being a nonprofit, I know if you're a nonprofit farm, I'm not sure, Denise, maybe you can clarify on this one. If she's agriculture, but she's the nonprofit business structure, is that eligible?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because, yeah, an agricultural producer is one who receives 50% or more of their income from agricultural products.
I would say no.
Okay.
That's not
Yeah.
an eligible entity.
Right.
Since if you elected the nonprofit business structure. Now, I mean, yeah, that might be a conversation offline to find out more about, the business. But if you're trying to make sure that your hoop house or greenhouse operation is energy independent or as efficient as possible, there may be some programs out there. Probably just need to look at your energy provider and what you're trying to do, and we can look back at the USDA. And there's other pockets of possible grant funding out there. The one benefit of being a nonprofit is that you're probably open up to more grants than a small business. This is one of the few grants available to a small business that I know of, the REAP program, which is nice. But yeah, that's a conversation. Just you get in contact with me, and we can look through it.
Okay. Thank you so much for the information. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Any other questions out there? Okay, well, we thank you for your time and appreciate all the speakers with the great information. We will be sending this out to all the registered folks, and it'll go out to a few more too, so that we can kind of try to get that information out there, so folks know about this program and they can apply. And I think we did. I don't know that I mentioned. I did mention this is REAP is a competitive grant. So the state is only allocated so much money by the federal government. So, I mean, they can only, if they have more applications than they have money to expend, then not everyone will receive this grant. So, and from from year to year, the allocation changes. But I always encourage folks to put the application in, especially your small businesses and your farmers. Because those determinations are made on the state level, and they can try to work things out fairly for folks to get funded. So thank you everyone for attending, and again, if you have any questions, please reach out to one of us, the appropriate party, and we'd be glad to help you. And everybody have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.